could play probably from September on. But I have to do four other films, and I've actually made a film on the musicians, on Ernst Reisiger, who composed and played the music. So I'm doing 5-6 films this year. Well, I've come for your questions. Please feel free to,
Yes, right here. Go ahead.
We're so surrounded now.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
It seems like we're so surrounded by media now, but filmmaking technology in your career has become more and more ephemeral. It's digits now. Making this film, did you ponder what will leave contemporarily for people 28,000 years from now?
I do not fully understand the question.
What do you think we're making now that might persist 28,000 years from now?
Well, that's a good question. Probably not cinema, because it needs technology, and we may lose technology fairly soon. That's the first thing that's going to go, because I think the human race is not sustainable as it is right now. And highly technological civilizations are even more vulnerable, because you can repair your bicycle yourself, or somebody can do that who is mechanically good, but you cannot repair your computer. And just imagine a blackout in the United States for 2 weeks, a blackout, no electricity. You wouldn't have any communications, you can't pump gas because it's all electricity driven, you can't enter into a supermarket because the doors would not open, and the cash register wouldn't register anything. So it would be unspeakable chaos and unspeakable disaster if we had 2 weeks without electricity. And this may very easily happen. So I do believe that more solid things, more primitive, and I really mean now primitive things like a person with a chisel and a rock in front of him and a hammer, and you will create some sort of a sculpture. Probably has much more endurance. And by the way, books have much more endurance than films. So do not underestimate the value of books. But I do not really know. Maybe in 20,000, 28,000 years from now, we are not going to be here anymore. It doesn't look very likely. By the way, it doesn't make me very nervous either. But I think we'll have the same basic quests for figurative representation, for song, for dance, for storytelling. Storytelling is not going to go away. It's probably the last that will go away, because you do not need any instruments for it. It's just experience. And it's just an art of storytelling. And this is my problem that I have with television. Because television is completely dominated by the market, by commercials. They are the ones who pay for it, for television. And a great gift of the human race, storytelling, which has existed certainly for tens of thousands of years, all of a sudden becomes fragmented. A film is, in this film will be shown on television, and it has to be formatted for television, which means every 9 minutes you have a block of 3 minutes of commercials, something roughly like this. So, in other words, our deeply embedded sense of storytelling has become fragmented. And I do not like this, and I do not support it. I've been offered to do commercials, and I do not do it for reasons of principle. I cannot avoid it, and I cannot change the world, but you can offer me as much money as it gets. I will not do a commercial. I do not want to be part of this culture of destruction of storytelling. So. But, of course, you are thinking quite far into the future. When I try to think into the future, it's maximum 400 years or so.
Yes, right over here.
both do not count. Yeah.
Well, true, but you've almost altogether avoided eroticism and the erotic. You don't have very many sex scenes at all, really, except for one fantastic one with Nicolas Cage.
And Klaus Kinski and Isabella Gianni in Nosferatu.
I was just wondering why you haven't done that any more than you have, given the vast number of stories that you've told.
Yeah, difficult to answer. I do not really know why. There's some sort of a deeply embedded sort of shyness to touch this. I rather have a sex scene as something very private. I make a clear distinction between private life and life in storytelling, life in movies. Quite often I was asked, yeah, why didn't you film anything when for example, when I traveled on foot? No, traveling on foot has a different meaning. There was a different mission out there. No film ever will be made when I will not be filming when I travel on foot. I will probably, I don't see that in the future I would do an erotic scene or an outright pornographic scene. Probably it's easier to do porno than an erotic scene. I wouldn't exclude it, but I have also asked myself, why is it that there are so few women in major parts in my films? It's a similar or maybe related question. I have no clear answer. Why is it that, for example, Ingmar Bergman is at his best with women? Why is it that Antonioni is always at his best with women? Why is it that a French great, wonderful filmmaker, Melville, is only good, or hardly any woman ever appears, but in this case there's an undercurrent of something homoerotic. It's very, very evident. It's kind of palpable. So that's probably the background. In my case, very hard to explain, and I do not have a full answer. Recently I thought about this, and strangely enough, the next 2 or 3 feature films all will have females as a central character in the film. I'm planning a film in the Arabian desert, which is a little bit in turmoil at the moment, about some sort of a female equivalent of Lawrence of Arabia. However, it's not financed yet, and I don't know whether it's going to be financed. But again, there will be no erotic scenes in the film, although the protagonist has 2 great love stories, both of them tragic love stories. But I don't see a real erotic scene in it. Not that I have planned for it. There's nothing in the screenplay.